We have a few months to catch our breath before campaign ads wallpaper our screens again. As attention turns towards the general election, Kentuckians will decide whether this is the year they want to send Charles Booker to the Senate after passing on him in the 2022 race against Rand Paul. Booker has built a platform appealing to progressive Democrats in what is considered a safe Republican seat. Cook Political Report still bills the 6th congressional district, which covers Lexington, a safe R seat as well. But those here on the ground will be watching closely as Democrats hope to gain momentum to flip the open seat, nominating political newcomer and former federal prosecutor Zach Dembo to face former state senator Ralph Alvarado.
In a presidential year, I would say Alvarado would win overwhelmingly. But as it's an off year and as it looks like the Democrats have a lot more enthusiasm than Republicans do, I would give Dembo a puncher's chance.
Democrats also nominated Melissa Strange to face Ed Gowrine in Kentucky's 4th District, a Republican stronghold. Jared, what scenario in your mind, talking about the Senate race here, would make it a competitive one? Does the Trump endorsement still help in the general for Andy Barr?
I don't think so. I think it's already baked in. Charles Booker is going to run the same campaign he's probably always going to run. He's going to be extremely far to the left. He's going to talk about Medicare for all. He's going to talk about universal basic income. He's going to talk about a lot of things that a lot of Kentucky voters are going to be very, very unsure of. In other states, the electorate, as Trey alluded to earlier, is going to swing back towards the left at the national level. A lot of people, including independents and Republicans, are unhappy with what's going on. That's not going to be enough, in my opinion, in a state like Kentucky to get Booker into a striking distance of Barr. We just do not have that many progressive voters in the state of Kentucky.
Trey, more you want to add on the Senate race?
I think that's pretty accurate.
well, let's transition over to the 6th District, General. Dembo was running in a crowded primary. He was not the candidate who started off with the most name recognition. Is this a candidate the Republicans may be more concerned to face in November versus the runner-up, Sherilyn Stevenson?
I mean, I think he's certainly the one that we were most concerned about in that field. But to say that we're concerned, I don't think is entirely accurate. I say this on every media appearance I do. I think national Democrats look at that seat and they see a congressional district that is anchored by a liberal college town, and they think that's the sort of seat we're winning nationally. However, when you're on the ground, you know the demographics and the geography of that district, especially after redistricting with Franklin County being taken out of it. There's enough rural in that district that a Democrat's going to have to run an absolutely perfect campaign, get a lot of luck, and have mistakes from the Republican in order to win that seat, because there's just enough rural that if you go too far to get the rural votes, you lose enthusiasm in Lexington. If you go too far towards Lexington, you lose votes in the rural area. It's what happened to Amy McGrath in 2018. She tried to cut that middle, and she got tripped up on abortion, and that campaign was pretty much over. It's a hard trick to pull off, and I just, especially for a political newcomer, man, it's at the tall ask.
Jared, what do you think?
I'd like to quote Lee Corso, like, not so fast, my friend. But I do think that it will end up being a lean R or maybe even a toss-up by the time it comes around. And that's nothing against the Republican nominee, Ralph Alvarado. Is a tremendously talented individual, but he's a state senator. He has a voting record people can pick at and question about. Dembo has no voting record. He came through the primary unscathed. He came through without making any big mistakes or appearing as too liberal or too progressive. He's Stanford undergrad, Michigan law. He's a federal prosecutor. He's come home to try to help and make this district a better place. Yes, losing Frankfort and Franklin County severely hurts Democrats winning, but if people are dissatisfied with the way it's going at the federal level, then yes, that race can be in play.
I want to very quickly touch on the 4th District here, which is, going back to the Senate race, the 3rd place Senate finisher, Michael Farris, ended up taking only 2% of the vote. A lot of folks were wondering, what kind of dent his grassroots-style campaign was going to end up making. And he has started floating the idea of getting in the 4th District race and as an independent. But do you think that would shake things up at all?
Well, there's already a Libertarian in the race that was announced today. So, Farris, I thought he'd get 5 to 8%. The fact that he barely beat George Washington, he's tilting at windmills, man. Mike Farris, go run for state senate or something and work your way up. It's not going to play out the way he thinks it will.
Quick last word here, Jared.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he gets in as an independent and you got a Libertarian and you got Gowrine, who nobody up there really knows, maybe a Democrat, as long as they can walk and chew gum at the same time, they get 30% of the vote, then I don't know what's going to happen up there with the rest. It'll be very interesting to see. But Farris did underperform, in my opinion. If he had like Petrie's numbers, 15, 12, then that's a different conversation.